We've been waiting for all
We're
of you
waiting
to
for
show
all
up.
of you.
Not the other way around.
Nothing else will happen. We won't tell you about new things. Everyone's getting mad now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the stream. We're here with Telltale Games for The Walking Dead. We're going to look at some stuff for Season 4. We're going to what it's like to develop this game. But first of all, let's get into some of the new stuff that we have, some character designs, Tell us a little bit about that stuff. But you know what? First, why don't we just hold off? Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Oh,
Okay. Should I start?
I almost jumped the gun there a little bit. I'm getting really excited.
Everything else right now. What are we doing?
Let's
Oh,
start with
God.
Melissa.
Yes.
I'm Melissa Hutchison, and I am the voice of Clementine.
Yeah.
Yay.
She's a character in the game.
Yeah.
She's a real
Main-
person.
Yeah.
I'm Dave Bogan. I'm the director of art at Telltale and acting art director on season 4.
All right. Director of art, art director.
Lucky me.
Yes, lucky you.
And I'm Jess Krause. I'm an associate writer at Telltale Games, and I'm the lead writer of episode 1 of the final season.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
I know.
That is awesome.
So what's the whole first episode about?
Well,
Just between
let me just
us.
pitch it to you right now.
Yes. So just whisper.
Whisper into the microphone.
It's about Clementine.
So we have some really cool key arts and some stuff to look at, and I want to let's get into it a little bit. So tell us about a couple of the characters that you guys have revealed today. You're like
Who's got it?
Who are we looking at?
Your
Do we-
favorite.
do we-
Just call
my
it out.
favorite?
Call
Oh,
it out.
my
Back behind
favorite
there, we'll
is
get it.
Marlon. He's one of our new characters. We have a lot of young characters this season, a lot of teenagers, kids Clem's age and kids younger. We have this character Marlon. He's really cool. He's got like a mullet hawk thing that looks badass. He's got a dog whose name is Rosie. Spoilers, she's not gonna die.
Female dog.
A female dog.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you guys, I think
Yeah.
on the stream right now,
Yeah,
you
you
can see
see her?
Marlon.
Oh yeah,
Rosie.
With the
You just want to squeeze her little cheek.
who? That's got to be a real live pup that you guys.
I don't actually. I don't think so.
You guys
No.
are just fans of pups.
We
Oh
love
yeah,
dogs.
what?
we have a
Puppies. Sorry, I call
dog-friendly
puppies
office.
pups.
Yeah, we're still in
I just say
shock
pup.
over the last dog death.
Yeah.
Sam
Yeah.
was the name. The name was
Poor
Sam.
Sam.
Let's have some respect.
Poor
Poor
Sam.
Was Sam the telltale dog?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, from
season
season
2,
two.
Yeah.
there's a
That's right.
dog situation.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got a
Sam.
dog-friendly office, so we love
Yeah.
dogs. And
Yeah,
guys
we,
like
we really love
dogs.
dogs.
we love dogs.
We do.
So.
I want to say I really appreciate you pointing out that the dog does not die
Yeah.
up front. That's what I need
Yeah,
to hear.
I had
Yes.
to check and make sure it was okay for me to say that like
She
earlier
did say
this
just
week.
episode 1, though. She's not guaranteeing anything.
I listen. I pinky promised with Greg, so I feel like I'm at least me for episode 1.
Yeah.
I'm held to a pinky promise.
You're like, I'm
The
covering
dogs.
my side of things.
I'm covering my ass.
That's
The
the
Walking
one-
Dead, season 5, Rosie.
That's actually what all of Telltale is about, is Rosie.
So it'll be a dog standing up with the other dog.
Yeah. Not
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. Spiked collar.
which we have a lot of questions about AJ and Clementine, but let's keep talking about the new characters. So
Yeah.
Marlon, Rosie, who's next?
I think next is
Bye.
Lewis.
Oh, Lewis.
Lewis?
Yeah, Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis, who is another character. Are we going to show him?
These
I don't know.
assets are being hand-drawn live.
Mentally.
Yeah, Lewis
There.
is really cool. He's got this really cool jacket.
There
Oh,
we
there
go.
he is.
Cool
there he
attitude.
is. Look at him.
dude.
Cool dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lewis is he's very suave. He's very funny.
With
he's,
that jacket, yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of the trickster character who just kind of like falls on his face whenever he tries to, make a joke or try to be charming.
He's also sentimental.
Very sentimental.
Okay.
Bogey, do you wanna-
And he wants to preserve the ways of old. So
Yeah.
arts and culture. He might play the piano. Or
Yeah.
Stuff like
The
that.
art director, you really like him.
He's not my favorite, actually.
Oh, wow.
But I do like him, yes.
Yes.
I like
well,
all of our Walking Dead children, we like them all.
yeah.
No.
In garb, I can't even tell it's the apocalypse.
Oh, you know he's hip and trendy when he has rolled up cuffs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
He knows
So,
how to dress.
like, if you look at all the characters, we're pretty conscious about trying to get in the minds of the kids, and they would be scavenging their own clothing and picking stuff that is functional. So, a thicker jacket so you're not
And
getting
trendy.
scratched or all that kind of stuff. And Lewis, he does form and function. He wants to look
Leans
good.
a
wants
little
to
bit
look
more
good.
towards form
Yeah.
than
So
function.
While
if he had
surviving.
a selection, he would choose the Italian boots
Yeah.
versus the. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he's got a
Utilitarian
really,
with flair.
his weapon of choice is pretty
And most people like
flouncy too.
are not like
Oh.
that. So we're making an intentional choice to have that come out in his character a little bit. So
And it sounds like someone Clementine might get along with. We'll
I
see.
think so. I mean, yeah. Why not? She's actually pretty stylish right now too.
Yeah.
She
She's
is
looking
pretty
pretty
stylish.
good.
Yeah.
she's
And she
not
hasn't
hurt.
had anyone to tell her how to dress.
No.
She's just been
No,
doing it on her own.
Except to keep her hair short. But
Yes.
Right,
Yeah, that's
and
interesting.
she's honoring that. And now instead of two little piggy tails, it's like a little, like
Side
kind of what's going
pony.
on with my situation right
well,
now.
at the
She's
end-
evolved.
At the end of
Side.
season 3, she had this asymmetrical chopped haircut thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just she let it grow, but she didn't really, do anything with it. And now
Well-
she can only tie up one side.
Which was amazing at the end of season 3, but Javi did. He's like, oh, I don't know if it's like, he was like doubting himself. I'm
Oh,
like,
he's
dude,
like, "What
that's like a badass
I don't think it
haircut.
looks that great. Everyone's like, wow.
You missed baseball.
You had sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah, Javi kind of pulled that out of nowhere too. He
Yeah.
just gave a fresh cut.
yeah.
A really good one. Like,
Yep.
So, any more characters?
We also have Vi, short for Violet. She's
Ah.
really cool too. I don't know if we're gonna.
Violet, remember,
We'll show
they're
her
being-
at some point.
remember they're being hand-drawn live.
Yeah. Yes.
yes,
This was
is
just
taking a
done.
moment.
They're working
We
tirelessly.
have 300 artists behind the stage working.
And so Vi is kind of the antithesis of Lewis, where Lewis is like super flirtatious and he's super suave and he's really funny. Vi's a little bit more pragmatic. She's a little bit more to the point. She's a little bit more blunt.
A survivor.
Yeah, a little bit sarcastic. I ended up like writing her a lot, and I was realizing as I was writing her, I'm like, I'm just kind of writing myself, aren't
No,
I?
this
Oh.
is you as a character. That's this one.
Kind of. Just like her level of humor, at least.
Yeah.
It's like very sarcastic,
There she
very
is.
blunt.
Yeah, look at
Look at
her. I love
Purple
it.
laces on one shoe.
Yeah.
She's gritty stylish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's protecting one ankle.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's her
That's
sore
her
ankle.
weaker.
That's her bad ankle.
Yeah.
That's the one
I
she
just
kicks
can't
you
kick
with.
stuff.
Yeah. High kicks.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, anything else specific about Violet? She's got a cool looking knife, it seems like.
Yeah, she can take care of herself.
Yeah.
She's a lot like Clementine in that way, where she can survive on her own. She
Picks things
can
up
take
quickly.
care of others, and she's basically self-sufficient and
Yeah.
a survivor. So
Yeah. And she's a
Great.
bit of a
she's pretty feisty.
she's a bit of a loner, and which is definitely a relationship we're going to explore with Clementine, because Clementine's a bit of a loner too, but at least she has AJ, and Vi. Yes, she's surrounded by other kids, but it's just she doesn't quite know her place yet, and so hopefully Clementine can help her kind of come out of her shell a little bit.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited to see that.
Are there any more characters?
Yeah, we
I
have
keep
one
doing this because I
more.
know there
One
are.
more.
I'm like,
10.
yeah, yes.
One more. We have
There's
10.
10 more characters?
No.
Character
No.
named
No.
10.
His name is
So
10.
the interesting thing is we get to also make some younger kids who
Yeah.
have spent more of their lives in this
There.
crazy Walking Dead world than they did when they remember before it happened. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have some interesting
This is the life that they know.
behaviors and dialogues and situations with these younger kids, much like AJ. Like AJ is apocalypse baby, so
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
gonna be interesting.
They grow up in a different world.
Yeah,
Totally, yeah.
exactly.
You're-
And it's a little difficult to kind of write those characters that it's easier to write characters that have had like some kind of formative. Because actually, funny looking at the timeline, I'm like, oh, the apocalypse happened around like when I was probably Clementine's age, 2003, that kind of time period. So it's easy for me to go back to when I was a teenager and be like, oh, this is how I acted.
Yeah.
Yes, I can write this, but like it's a completely different beast to write characters that have grown up in the apocalypse. And it's
Yeah.
like, how do children change when they're faced with, walkers everywhere and not really having any formative years in the pre-apocalypse time?
Yeah.
So this is a close-up of 10, correct?
Yep.
And it looks like
He's got some
something happened
scars.
to him.
Yeah.
He's got
Yeah.
some scars, but at this point,
Everyone
in the
does.
timeline, you would not double take if you saw someone like this.
Yeah.
Of course.
This is part of the world, and his story may come out. So
Yeah, is this
he's
a big...
tough little guy.
Are we learning about what happens to 10? Or is this simply 10 as a person?
Yeah,
this has
we're
happened to him?
keeping it ambiguous for the first episode. We're gonna, from my understanding, we're delving a little bit more into 10's background in episodes 2 and 3 and things like that. So we're gonna be focusing more on like Violet, Lewis, and Marlin. But so
In episode
hopefully
1.
in episode 1. So hopefully we'll learn more about 10 later.
All right.
Yeah.
And something else I noticed about 10's shoes specifically were those science dog shoes. Yes.
Wow.
So
I don't.
we've got Science Dog from Robert Kirkman's Invincible, and it also is its own comic as well.
We were so happy that got approved. That's just like a nice little
That's
Easter
such an
egg to have in
amazing
there.
Easter
And
egg.
you know,
Awesome.
to speak about 10 as a character, he's only 10 or 11 years old. So he spent half his life in this crazy world and half before it happened. So he may be holding on to things from his past.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he just loved Science Dog.
So it's safe to say that this is in the Invincible universe.
Nope.
It's not safe to say
It's
that
not safe to
at
say
all.
that at all.
In
Absolutely
fact,
not. Don't say that. Don't say that one.
But that is
Mike's cut.
Yeah.
that is an interesting point. I mean, I think a comic book shop would be maybe the third place I'd go to in the apocalypse.
The
Need reading
third?
materials.
Okay.
Where
Oh.
they
We
sell
did.
Science Dog
We
shoes.
did go to a comic book shop in season 2, I
Yeah.
think, and there was some nice Skybound fare in there as well, I believe.
Wow, I must have missed that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I think there was. Yeah.
So to jump into season 4 specifically for Clementine and you, Melissa,
Yeah.
how involved do you get with them right off the bat? Are these new characters that are a big part of your life, or are they?
I'm
Are
one of
you-
the
you know?
seething fans. I'm like, tell me.
Yeah, yeah.
I have zero clue at this point, basically. I mean, I have some clue.
Yeah.
Not zero. I can't say that. That's a lie. And you know, with the process as it goes, when I go into the recording studio, that's when they're like, okay, here's what's going to happen in episode 1.
So you find
So-
out
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Which is kind of cool because I'm a huge fan of the game. I mean, I don't just act in it; I also play it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to record the episodes how we do, because then I'm not like, if I had to, sit with 5 episodes of a season, that would be like, torturous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's cool to see it evolve, and then of course people's choices, how they affect the game. But I don't know.
You're dying-
I
you're
don't
dying to hear
know.
too.
I mean, I have my I don't want her to die. You know, I hope she finds AJ and it's all great. There's unicorns and lollipops and
Yeah.
no, I want it to be Walking Dead.
And that's the spoiler. That is what happens.
Unicorns and lollipops.
Unicorns and lollipops.
Yeah.
And puppies.
We've confirmed it here first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about AJ. I know we can't dive super deep in head first, but are we going to really see AJ grow up as well alongside Clementine?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We are doing a bit of a time jump, so we actually start the episode. We start the season off with AJ. We kind of left season 3 where we were looking for him, and between the time
With a fresh cut.
yeah, with a fresh cut, with a fresh do, and between the time of season 3 and season 4, we have found AJ. So we're starting with him right off the bat, and it's going to be a very similar. We are very much aware of the parallels from our. Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
There it
one.
is.
Oh yeah, it's almost like we're
Season
paralleling
1.
something
Yeah,
in our
it's
key
almost
art.
like this key art looks the same, which is actually something, and we'll talk about this a little later, but that is really intriguing to me. I love
Yeah.
how all the key art is
And-
composed the same.
Yeah, and we're extremely aware of the parallels, but we don't want it to just be a rehash of the Lee and Clementine relationship because these
Yep.
are completely different people. Clementine is not Lee, and AJ is not Clementine, so that relationship is going to be completely different, especially with AJ as this kind of apocalypse child who never had kind of the wistfulness that Clementine did in season 1. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted because
It's
snowing
snowing
so
like
much
mad
outside.
outside right now.
Holy crap.
We
Welcome
ain't,
back east.
ain't in
But no,
Kansas anymore.
that's a
Yeah.
big point because essentially each of them in their own microcosm of a story represent how each generation went through
Yeah.
Judgment Day.
Yeah,
The apocalypse.
and the relationship is also going to be completely different because, Lee was an adult taking care of
Yeah.
an 8-year-old child, and Clementine is, a teenager taking care of a very small child, and it's just that dynamic is completely different. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that really lends hand to each season feels completely different from the other. we're following Clementine's story, but they all feel independent, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff. So we also have some scenery as well, correct? We have some new places that the game will be
Yeah.
happening at, which makes sense with the time jump. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well,
Well,
one of the main sets, I guess, in episode 1 will be a place called the boarding school. I don't know what the actual name of it is yet, but it's a boarding school.
I do.
And a lot of these kids have been there the whole time, so it's kind of fortified, and it's a place that they've been able to survive at. But at this point, with this many years passing since it all started, everything's really dilapidated. Oh, there
We
it
can
is.
tell
Yeah.
they need some more funding.
yeah.
Aside from like nature taking over and it being kind of run down and falling apart, there's a bunch of kids living in there. So like they've broken all the windows, burned all the books,
Yeah.
just to eat, warm up their food and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
they're breaking furniture to start fires. You know.
Yeah.
And probably having some fun too. I
Yeah.
remember
kids.
in some of our concepts, we had the kids remove the mattresses from the rooms and put them outside and jump out
And
the
are
window.
jumping out the window.
So
Yeah.
we're trying to get that. Like, what do kids that grew up in this world are still kids?
Yeah, they
So
still wanna
even
have
though
fun.
like zombies to them are just like whatever criminals or natural disasters to us, right?
Yeah.
So
pest
they're
control.
they're still kids and they're
Yeah.
going to do kid things.
Well, and seeing Clementine go through her journey, and I almost feel like we've been desensitized to that aspect. Seeing this kid not be a kid anymore and have to survive,
Yeah.
and then meet a bunch of kids who are still kids.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
the hope is that, Clementine did have to grow up very, very quickly just because of the situation she was in. And hopefully her seeing, because really over the seasons, we've only seen Clem interact with like one person her age per season. We had Duck season 1, we had Sarah season 2,
Duck.
and
I love Duck's
And-
my boy.
R.I.P.
and
Did you high five
Gabe
him?
in season 3.
Did you high five them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always high five Duck.
course.
Gosh, she's a
It's really
kid.
sad if you don't.
I bet.
It really is.
I think we did actually
We made it,
try
so we know what it looks like.
Duck,
So-
like
so
with that, when
sad.
we were playing, and the first time you meet Duck, I was like, who the
This
Like,
kid's
who's this
gonna
punk
ruin
kid?
everything.
God, why is he so
immediately
annoying?
loved that he was there.
This is their downfall.
Yes. But anyways, sorry.
Hopefully with Clementine being surrounded by more kids her age, she'll be able to kind of like let herself go a little bit and kind of be a kid again. Not all the time, because obviously we still have to deal with walkers outside.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a
things like
Toys
that.
R Us somewhere?
Oh
in
my
the-
god, that would be
A
hilarious.
dilapidated
Too
Toys R Us,
soon.
just
Do it.
saying.
Can we
Too
do it?
soon. Sorry.
Yes, but it's
We're a
zombified.
kid. Yeah.
We've got a Toys R Us trailer.
That's what they sing around the campfire every night. They just sing the Toys R Us.
Oh, that was the
jingle.
Chuck E. Cheese. Wait,
Yeah.
no, what's our sorry, Chuck E. Cheese is still
They're
around.
still around.
Sorry, not to.
They're still joking.
Anyways, we'll think
That's
about
where
the toy.
10 finds his science dog boots.
Oh my god.
Were there any other scenics that we had? Was it all the boarding school?
Yeah.
the
Yes,
train
the train
station.
station. So this is just another example of a place
last
where
train
a couple may have hunkered down and built some walls and try to fortify it.
Now, is that Clementine?
That is
That is
Clementine.
Clementine,
Yep.
yeah.
There she is. What up?
So she visits the train station. The train's not in here. There's kind of a
No, I don't see a train.
remnants of a
Yeah.
train in the actual game,
Yeah.
which is cool.
No trains are coming into town anymore.
Oh no,
No.
no.
So are all these scenics in the same area? Are we talking a new town?
Yeah, we haven't like specified where it is geographically, but they are kind of all within 10 miles. The train station and boarding school, probably like we never actually say how far they are
Yeah.
apart, but like 10 miles probably.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
5.
within walking, traveling distance
Yeah.
to the boarding school.
Yeah, at least within a day of walking distance, which I don't know how far you can get walking. I don't
Far. You
exercise
get
that
far.
much, so.
Was there any more of the train station?
No, it's just this one.
Cool. Was there any other scenics?
I don't believe so.
I just couldn't remember. Yeah.
No, just the boarding school
Yeah, I
and the
think it
train,
was just
train
boarding
station.
school.
Now I know we have an animatic of 10 and Violet.
Yep.
Cool. So when we get a sec, let's pull that up. But essentially, what is this animatic showing us?
Basically, it's just showing the level of detail in the modeling that we're doing now, but so the actual models are a higher fidelity, but the textures and the rendering of the characters are being pulled back into more of a graphic, leaning heavier on the graphic style that it's been in the previous seasons, but we're really kind of trying to amp that up.
Well, and that was one of my biggest questions, because even the key art alone looks amazing. And just going from season 1 that was so manual in the way that art was brought to life, and where we are now, how has this art process really developed, and how has it changed even from last season to season 4?
Well, a lot of the art changes that we see from season to season, I would say less so in the first 2 seasons, but more so afterwards. The technology that we have been building over the years has had a major influence on the art style. So, like for season 3, for example, we had built a new materials and lighting pipeline, so that played heavily into the art style. You can see the progression of the proportions of the characters getting more and more realistic to keep it really grounded and serious in nature. If you go back to season 1, the characters they're still appealing, but they're very wacky. I mean, look at Larry. He's like this ginormous troll guy. And then you've got Ben, this really lanky, caricatured, big-eared, high school-looking kid.
Yeah.
It worked, but there was, I think, an underlying desire to make things more real, even if we're keeping it more in a graphic style.
Yeah.
It keeps the serious tone.
So let's, if we can, let's pull up the animatic.
It did play. I
It
saw
did
on
play.
the
It
iPad,
did
yeah.
play.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so everyone saw it. Great.
Yeah.
But this is the key art again from season 4, and similar to season 1. So it's like Clementine's now the big person, and AJ's the small person.
Yeah.
So yeah, what in your guys' brains was how are you guys trying to compose the key art and make this all similar in one theme all the way through? Do you guys have that in mind from season 1?
This happened by accident.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to look like the first one at all.
Oh, whoops.
No, I don't know. We were kind of at first we were kind of designing it and touching on that, and then speaking with the rest of the team and the marketing folks, they were just like, we need to lean into this because really, I think everyone has season 1 in their hearts and their minds, and we just want to hit on that and get back to the heart of what we did originally, artistically and right through writing. Clementine's wrapping her story right around full circle. So that was in our minds, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a really quick visual run through of all the people that have been important in Clementine's lives.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. Are we, specifically jumping out from season 3, at the end of season 3, Clementine leaves Javi. Is Javi going to have a role?
I don't know. I don't know.
Can I write him in? Just kidding.
Yeah, you're trying,
Can I
yeah.
have, since this is
great
my love.
beard by the end of
Melissa's like,
that.
yes, Javi is in it.
Shout out to Jeff Shine.
Yeah.
Amazing job as Javi.
And actually, specifically to that, the cast for The Walking Dead has been great.
So
It's
good.
been fantastic. I mean, for you personally, on
Yeah.
your side of things, what has it been like to work through 3 seasons, moving on to 4 seasons of amazing castmates in the voice acting world?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so incredible. Season 1 in particular, this was the little indie company that could and did at that point, and we were all local Bay Area voiceover actors at the time, and it built this bond between us that was so. I've never had this, or I've had similar experiences with people I've worked with, but it was just something so special. It was kind of interesting because it organically moved towards, in season 2, I didn't get to meet as many of the actors, but it kind of balanced what Clem was going through because she was like off on her own and meeting these people and but
These
I'm these
people
people, these Lukes. I actually really love Luke. But and on that, all the actors that are cast in this, even if we don't get to physically work together in the studio, it's just so. I mean, when I play the game, after all's done and said, and I see it put together, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing, So there's you know, it's a lot of real content to work with, and it's a different kind of game when you're going through dialogue choices. That's a different kind of acting. So it really, you kind of have to have the chops to be able to get through that, you know, emotionally and whatever. So it's just been such an honor, and I've been surrounded by awesomeness on all sides, and yeah. Season
fun
4,
family.
I don't know. It is. Yeah, what was that?
It's a fun family.
It is a fun family for considering how dark and emotional what we deal with. It really is. It's been such a bonding experience. I mean, it's like family, you know.
This family centers around the tragic story of a small child.
Yes. we are those people. Yeah.
So with season 4 closing out the story too, how emotional has this been for you guys? Has this been a pretty big? And also on top of that, was the story straightforward in your guys' brains? Is it still, you guys are trying to figure out the best way to bring this to a close, or is it, you know what I mean?
Oh, well, yeah, there's still a lot of things that are in flux, but we know we need to bring it full circle. We know we need to say goodbye to Clem this season.
I know.
So,
That's
you, hopefully. Gosh, please stay.
Yeah, I know. I just walk off into the desert. Whatever happened to Melissa?
Her journey has
But,
ended.
Yeah, my hope for this, and I've talked about it in the office several times, is that my hope for this season is that it becomes a love letter to Clementine, and just really round off her story and really send her on her way appropriately. Which is, you know, no pressure. It's
God,
just, you
I
know.
can't
You're just the
something
one
that's-
writing it.
Yeah,
I'm
well.
so glad I'm not a writer. I admire you. I
Well,
really
thank
do.
you.
All
yeah.
good stories need a good end
Yeah.
Yes.
before you jump the shark,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
absolutely.
Clem will not jump the shark.
It'd be cool if she did.
Unless she literally goes to the ocean and jumps a shark.
Yeah, that's what
We're
I mean.
pretty close to the ocean, yeah.
Are we?
Well,
I
on
don't
the
know.
East Coast, you know.
People
Yeah, that's
don't
true. We are
realize
on the
that.
East Coast.
Oh, the
This
East
is all
Coast.
about sharks.
Sharks
Shark
probably
safety.
remain unaffected by the
Yeah,
zombie
actually,
apocalypse.
it's amazing how many, how
what-
much research.
What more could a shark do?
Yeah.
They don't-
Are you saying if sharks could get infected?
Yeah,
From
no,
my
they can't.
understanding,
Ooh,
animals
animals
can't.
can't.
Or
No.
Animals can't be
Infected.
infected.
No.
Yeah, I had to actually do
they're-
research and like went on Reddit to see
Yeah.
like can we still eat meat from animals that have been bitten? And it's like, yes, you can.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh yeah, well they feed them. They're in the comics or in
Yeah.
the show. They feed whatever.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
pigs. There's some pigs
Yeah.
that they're like basically
Tainted
Yeah.
meat.
Yeah. Ew. Yum.
Oh, well.
So with the writers' room too, how collaborative has that been? Is it you guys all separate? You're one, you're episode 2, or are you guys working together constantly to make sure this thing?
Yeah, we do. It's kind of a little bit of both. There's, you know, we have our episode leads and our lead designers for each episode, but a lot of times, like, we spend just a lot of time just in a room and in a circle, just arguing over characters and,
Yeah.
and figuring out choice spaces and things like that. We don't have the entire creative team rolled on yet, but we're getting there. It's almost
We're making
almost
moves.
got everybody. But yeah, so episode 1 has been working very closely with episode 2. They're really good friends of ours as well. I mean, we're all really good friends. It's a really great creative team to be working with. But yeah, we try to collaborate as much as possible, and then go off on our own. And you know, me and my designer JF will just like sit in a room and be like, okay, all right, let's actually like write this down and like figure out what do we need to set up for the next episode and what do we need to set up for the entire season. Make sure that everything just comes together really easily and organically.
Melissa, what do you hope is Clementine's end?
Well, I hope she doesn't die. I mean, I'm just
That's a
saying.
pretty big if.
Selfishly, I have no control over
fair.
that. Obviously.
I think we're all actually scared of dying ourselves. If we
Yeah.
kill
I
each
don't
other.
want to die.
Get enough
Um,
feedback on that.
Yeah, if this was like a therapy session, right? And now, could that just be a reflection of how you feel about your life, Melissa? I don't want to die. Oh, wow. You know,
It's a pretty loaded question.
it kind
I
of
apologize.
is. I'm actually excited. I'm excited. I mean, again, while I said, I'm pretty sad. I just like totally cried on my panel. But I'm excited to see where she goes. I feel like it's good. Part of me is like, no, I don't want her to want this to be over. It's been such a huge part of my life. But what the hell do I hope? That's your question. I'm just totally skirting around it. And then the snow. Wow. What? That's crazy.
It is really snowing.
It is actually really snowing.
coming down.
Yeah, this is pretty wild.
I just, her character is so loved, and the fan base is so important and huge. They've been amazing, and just my hopes is that we leave, because again, I'm a real creative on this process, that the fans are left feeling, I don't want to use the word happy, because I don't think that's how it's maybe going to go down, but feeling like, yeah, this is right, and crying. I want them to be crying along with me. So, yeah, great answer, Melissa.
Everyone can
I
live
want
stream
them to
themselves
feel.
crying.
I want them to retain a severe attachment to Clementine.
Yeah.
Like Lee, it's kind of like Ned Stark in Game of Thrones, right? Like you just love him right away, and then he's taken away, and you just think about him always.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Lee,
Right.
here we are in season 4, and we're still hanging on to Lee because we love him so much. And
He has a legacy.
We want people to feel like that with Clementine,
Yeah.
Yeah. And-
regardless of what her end is.
Yeah.
Like we want people to still like her.
Yeah, and
think
there's
about her.
absolutely like when I read a book or when I watch movies, like I'm a bit of a sucker for a happy ending, but at the same time, just from someone who has written things and knows how drama works and that kind of stuff, it is almost like you want a satisfactory ending. You don't just want a happy ending just for a happy ending. You want something that brings closure, and that when you walk away from whatever it is, movie, TV show, game, you just kind of feel satisfied. Because a lot of my favorite games do not end happily.
Right.
I'm usually like, if I'm crying at the end of the game, I know it's a good game.
Yeah, and it stays with you. Like
Yeah.
at the end of, all the endings pretty much. But
Yeah.
when it's effective, like I have people I talk to, fans of the game. They're just like, you don't understand. For a whole week, I was messed up.
Yeah.
But thank you. It's like I was messed up, but that was amazing.
Yeah.
So just having that effect on people it's insane. It's super cool.
Yeah, I think a big part of that too is specifically with how Telltale is. You kind of feel like you're making those decisions for the character.
Right.
So you brought them to that end.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. In season 1, Clementine, she was a little sponge. She was soaking in everything the player, or Lee, had to teach her. And in season 2, she had to learn how to survive on her own, developing a more mature mental state. And then in 3, she was just kind of this hardened, cold badass. And in season 4, I hope to see her. We've been doing a lot of talking about this. At a certain point in this world, it's not just about survival. It's about how do we choose to live, right? So, seeing Clementine's story wrap up in a way where you get to know her philosophy, I think, is where I want to see it too. What's her outlook on life at this point?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very exciting.
I know. It's so exciting, isn't it? I can't wait.
I mean, I'm really excited to see AJ's story too, Clementine's story, who's coming back, new characters. Are we, with the new characters too, specifically, is the goal to see a start to finish story for them? Are they just people that come in to help see the end of Clementine's story?
Yeah. What's up with that?
Spoilers. Tell us all about season 4.
I think it's fair to say that there'll be other important characters in the
Yeah,
story.
definitely. I mean, we're going to pick up characters along the way, but these guys are going to be pretty dang important.
Pretty dang important.
But I don't think I can say anything
No,
super.
Well,
super,
and every
you know.
season has their dedicated important characters
Right,
other than
right.
our through lines, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
And I mean, that's ultimately what makes Telltale's The Walking Dead exciting. Which, along with The Walking Dead comics, the show, it's not about the zombies, the apocalypse. It's about the people who are going through it.
Absolutely.
Lee, Clementine, AJ.
Definitely, there will be a lot of relationship building.
Relationship building.
Yes. Yes. Clementine will build relationships with people. That's what that world's all about. Like you
Yes.
said, it's
You can
zombies are
essentially-
just a thing to be,
But
to
you
deal
can kind
with.
of say that about any
It's their
of our
chores.
games.
zombie chores.
Zombie chores.
Walkers.
But it's dealing with people and choosing who do you trust, who do you care about? Do I care about myself more? So building relationships with these folks. It's a part of the license. You have to do it.
Yeah.
You can't just be 100% about Clementine.
So in terms of the actual gameplay, which we haven't seen anything of yet, but in terms of mechanics, anything like that, is there anything new that fans can get excited about? Or is it same straightforward seasons of Telltale?
Yeah, a little. I can't go super into detail because our designer's not here. He's over there.
You looked off stage. He's over there.
He's over there.
Touching you.
Hey, you.
I think something that worked so well on season 1 was exploration.
Absolutely. So we are kind of going a little bit back towards season 1. We're doing a lot of gameplay-driven scenes, which is not the easiest to write to. A lot of times, we'll just write. Yeah, a lot of variables. We'll write a straight up cutscene and then we'll go into review and it's like, wait, remember what we're doing? And I'm like, and I throw it to a designer and I'm like, make it playable. I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, we're going to do a lot more focusing on exploration, a couple more.
A little bit
puzzles.
less on rails.
Yeah.
A little bit less on
rails.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be straight because, sometimes we'll just go into narrative tubes and we're kind of trying to get away from that. A lot more, control of walking around.
That sounds awesome for, it being the final season, kind of letting people live in that world a little more.
Yeah.
Find other things, maybe unlock different parts of the story through things. It's great.
Yeah, it's going to
The challenge is going to be, especially coming out of season 3 where Clementine was a non-player character, except for the 2 flashbacks.
Yeah.
We really kind of dumped a lot of information on the player and wrote Clementine as a person, and you don't get to take part in that, but now you do. And the challenge is going to be, how do we merge the player with Clementine with all the seeds that we've planted from previous seasons? So, the answer is, letting you make choices and putting you in situations and not ramming Clementine story information down your throat. It's
going to be up to the player.
yes. Which will be fun.
Cool. No, this is some really exciting stuff, and I'm excited to see what comes down the pipeline as it develops a little bit more, and we get to see some more gameplay.
Yeah.
And the game come into fruition.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. Where can people find more information on season 4 and Telltale in general?
You can find it on all of our social media handles at Telltale Games on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and
Tumblr.
Oh God, everything.
The social info.
Everything.
Google.
Yeah, Telltale Games on pretty much every social platform. TheWalkingDeadGame.com.
It's almost like you can Google Telltale.
Yeah, it's almost like you could Google Telltale
Yeah,
and find us.
Interesting.
Yelp.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yelp.
I don't know if there's a Yelp.
It sends you straight to Telltale headquarters. It's true, you can do that. We'll also send out all their personal email addresses, their home addresses.
Phone
Oh dear
number.
God.
No.
Come on, come right in.
Guys, thanks for watching. Follow Skybound Games. We'll be back to play our new game, Pitch Storm, which is coming out soon. So stay tuned.